Hi guys, welcome to Robin Hood Diaries this evening. How are you? As promised, as usual, as promised, I'm going to touch on, as promoted on the previews, my experiences with cosmetic procedures and surgeries. Yes, believe it or not, I have a story to tell, actually a few, about all that stuff, cosmetic surgery, cosmetic procedures, the pain involved, all that stuff. And some of you probably are aware of a few of them, and I'd say at least half of those have had them done. From the extreme one down to the painful, not so extreme ones. So, I guess I'd have to say my first go around, not personally, not directly, with plastic surgery was in the late 70s when my mother decided she needed her eyes done. So this was just sprung on me suddenly in the kitchen while I'm getting my eyes done. And she had a lady, old friend, who was willing to lend her Beverly Hills home for her to help recuperate. Well, that was a nightmare. Well, at least for me at that age, black eyes, swollen, you can't see, your head is bound in a turban. It required me to stay at home with my stepfather while she was gone, which of course was always fun. Read the book. So after that, I don't know, at least 5 years, maybe 6 or 7, doesn't matter. I was about 16 or 17. She decided she needed more work. And really none of this panned out very well. I mean, she kind of looked the same, shortly after each procedure. But she decided now she needed the full lift, which is basically they grab you by the top of the head, shake you out, slice, and staple. Or in that case, I think back then it was like they sewed you with rope, maybe, because it's called a radical facelift, duh, because it's pretty radical. So we're in Palm Springs where the surgery is being done. I know you're used to like these plastic people, like these plastic ladies working in these like weird sterile offices, all fancy schmancy. This was like 1980, God knows what. And I'm telling you, the plastic ladies that were working in the office were like, you guys, this is like Midge. They were like Barbie's Midge. They were like so plasticized that good God, their cheekbones went back to Palm Desert. So we go there. The procedure is done in short order. I have to stay in Palm Springs with her, of course. And she is put somewhere to recovery. But that was very briefly, and then they usually kind of move you somewhere like into some sort of apartment or whatever to kind of, stop puffing out of nowhere or turning black. So she's now fully kind of ready to go home. We're in this whatever apartment in Palm Springs. So I go to see her again for the first time to get her from this place. And she looks okay, very tight, strangely tight, but I guess I could see some improvement. However, the weirdest thing, which was kind of gross, imagining what it entailed. My mother and I always had the exact same mole, beauty mark mole, very tiny right here. And we always had, a little hair, you had to pluck out every once in a while. Same spot, same thing always over here by the nose, but anyway, same spot. So it's always been there, right there. Okay, so I arrive in Palm Springs, and lo and behold, as I am examining her fantastic work, I realize that the mole that we share is now here. Like, like where you start hearing, like right there above your earring. So that spooked the hell out of me. I didn't let on, but of course, as you can imagine, the first thing that went through my head is, oh my God, they yanked that much flesh off. and snipped it, so her eye beauty mark was now some sort of ear thing. Okay. So that was the, I don't know, okay, second significant encounters, shall we say, with plastic surgery. Then comes Sean. Okay, so Sean decides that, well, when my son was born, I was 225 pounds. I am very underweight now. I don't quite look like myself. I'm a good 20 pounds underweight, but I was minimum 225 when my son was born. So needless to say, I needed plastic surgery immediately because of my, at that time, severe body dysmorphia day. We all know what that means. I don't like to say it in case it triggers somebody, but I have had it all my life. I can pinpoint the episode actually where it started on another show. So here I am, convinced now that I need liposuction like yesterday. And so I'm on the sly, like from my husband, scoping out every liposuction that I could afford on my meager budget at the time, because, you know, among other things, don't we all want to look nice in front of our spouse and make them like us and all that stuff? Well, that plus the 700 other things. So I finally scope out this really cool surgeon, a young gentleman, happened to be Korean, very charming, nice offices, not like weird plastic lady offices. So the usual routine, they measure you, they examine you, they make marks, this, that, and the other, whatever. So day of surgery comes, right? I'm all prepared to be, you know, like, Raquel Welch here. And of course I'm knocked out, rolled in. This is one of those office surgery scenarios where, you know, full tilt surgery room, OR, but then like nice, comfortable office in front. So I go to sleep. I wake up, you guys, having, of course, had the procedure done of the liposuction that I couldn't resist. And my first view upon waking is I turn to my right, and they had two, and I want to say glass, obviously there's something that they use other than glass. I'm telling you guys, they were like these cylinders, like bombs, another over here, and then another one half full. And I'm like, what is that? And the doctor says, well, that's what we took out. What? It looked like 4.5 liters of pink gunk. And he said, yes, we took out 2.5 liters. 2.5 liters? What the hell? Okay, so I recover from that visual, which I still have nightmares about, those jars filled with pink flesh at 2.5 liters. And then I get a surprise after staring at my 2.5 liters worth of pink fat next to me as I woke up from surgery. He informs me that also he had performed another surgery. And he said that you had a bit of I always had an innie. He said it was herniating and it looked more like an outie. So he took it upon himself to fix it. So now I have this great innie that I never asked for, but that I was not charged for. And ain't that the bottom line? So I've got this liposuction. Okay, so I go home and they wrap you in this girdle and tell you not to move from your couch for 7 weeks or whatever. And this is, supposed to mush it in or straighten it up, who knows. So yeah, I look, after the girdle couch and everything, and I got colored up a little bit of sun. Yeah, it was pretty good. It took away my 225-pound dad bod, and I can't complain. I mean, I wasn't like, floored, but it did the job. Well, guess what? As I'm sure you all know, liposuction comes back. The only reason, as everybody knows, to get liposuction is to kind of get you back on track so that you can do all the things you didn't want to do that got you the need for liposuction. Good diet, proper exercise, regular this, frequent that. Well, Okay, so I kind of didn't do that well after my liposuction. And of course, guess what? I ended up where I started. I wasn't 225 pounds. What I sure was not was fighting weight that I saw in the before and after pictures. Suddenly, it looked the same, except like darker because I got some sun. But well, there you go. And the funny thing of it is that I was so desperate for this liposuction, despite having to stare at the 2.5 jars of pink flesh, I was hell-bent. So I was, as I said, scoping out these places. I found the gentleman that did it, and I told my husband knew that, of course, we were doing that. It was a $4,500 procedure at least, and I told him it only cost $3,000. Oh, poor me with my $3,000 and want my liposuction that's $4,500 plus that doesn't work in 2 years, if you're lucky. So ixnay on the liposuction. Give it a seventh thought, unless you're willing to jump into Jane Fonda's workout the minute the girdle comes off. So let's go sort of float briefly before we wrap up in other areas. Once the liposuction didn't work, then let's move to the face. Okay, I mean, whatever. So then you go through the dermatology, I don't know, conveyor belt. And because there are 750 million dermatologists in Beverly Hills and Los Angeles, where we were living at the time. So first, let's see, what did I try first? A peel. This is before it became thousands of dollars. A peel. So, those are painful and, uncomfortable, and I guess they work. I honestly didn't see a lot of improvement on any of them, but oh well. Then we went for lasers, which created kind of these foamy blister things on your face that you had to, it was your punishment for being vain. So then the lasers didn't really work. So then I was, another fancy schmancy one in Encino convinced me that I need full tilt acid peel burns. Oh. So now I'm told that I need to have this acid that burns a layer of skin off of your face, which then has to be treated very carefully. But lo and behold, you're 20 years younger. Well, I don't know. I got not the laser, not the peel, but now the acid burn, and which felt literally like if you were to take rubbing alcohol and then your highest grade sandpaper from Ace Hardware and just sort of rub it on your face for 2 days. Well, that was it. I had it, the acid burning layer peel falling off face, final ditch layer came off. So there I was with the same old face and the same old body that I have now, although it's a little bit worse now, I can assure you. But, so I don't know. I don't know was there a moral? Probably not, other than that's my personal experience and it didn't work, any of them. I think I honestly would have looked the same. Now, the only thing is that I smoked cigarettes for 37 years. From like God knows what age early on to I did, full tilt quit eventually. That has a lot to do with it. Taking care of your face, moisturizing and all that regimen stuff has as much to do with it as burning and lasering and peeling and aciding and of course, oh, before we go, I've got to tell you one funny thing. So before I went for the liposuction, a few years, but after my mom's full tilt facelift, talk about body dysmorphia day, I had a little hard thing. I mean, good God, it was like, a quarter size of a pea right here, hard, move it around type thing, as you can imagine. We were living in San Dimas and I was trying to be my most attractive at that time to my husband. So of course I flipped out. So I go to this, I'm sorry to keep you. I go to this, I follow a commercial to a very popular laser institute, way like bum F Egypt, like East County. And so they set an appointment. They knew exactly what needed to be done, apparently. And I go there after waiting for weeks for the appointment. Little thing rolling around, what do? So they said they're going to do a punch biopsy. Now, a punch biopsy is something you do for cancer, and it kind of leaves a hole in your face. But I was convinced they had some special razor, whatever, punch, whatever. And I show up full tilt ready for this procedure. They took one look at me and they go, no, sorry, we don't do whatever we told you we were going to do. We're not going to do it. Goodbye. I was infuriated. Oh my God, I wanted to call and complain to corporate, but whatever, I'm still stuck with this thing on my face. So then legitimately I look out, facial surgeon, clear again out in bum F Egypt, Culver City. Much smaller, not fancy ladies, and sort of like a Medi-Cal office. But he was a good guy. His staff were good folks. They actually stayed after, incurring overtime to be able to accommodate a late appointment that got kind of shifted for this thing. And the only way he could do it is that he said, it's not slice and cut and leave a line. This has to be, we have to go in and kind of like pop it out, remove it, detach it. And he's like, you're going to have something there. And I'm like, oh, great, whatever. Take the friggin' thing out. I'm not going to obsess on the mirror thinking it's a pimple all the time that can be squeezed out. So he did it. There was a little teeny, tiny little cratery mark, not I mean, let's forget the fact that my face was grabbed by a Siamese cat when I was 6 years old in Beverly Hills. And that's why I have this, a little in here, and whatever. I survived the industry with those. But this went away. Dr. Boris did a good job. It went away. No more thingy. The crater just faded. So I guess that's my luckiest experience with plastic surgery or cosmetic surgery. Everything else sucked. The royal one. So there you go. I don't know where we're at, but I try to stay true to form. And that is my journey of plastic cosmetic procedural-y stuff that did not work. So give it a seventh thought, okay? I think I'm going to just quickly maybe do an offshoot of this show, topic-ishy, because one of the things that did affect this cosmetic presentation of ours that we all present every day is that I was obsessed with tanning from like 16 until perhaps maybe 10 or 15 years ago. And there was lots of reasons for that, lots of funny stories with that, racy stories with that. So we'll get to that on another kind of cosmetic-y episode. Okay, thanks for sticking with me. I love you guys for sharing my time and putting up with me. And I will, of course, see you tomorrow with a preview tonight and tomorrow, so you know what you're getting. Okay, I am going to now reach over because I'm a little bit further than the camera than usual and say goodbye.